Thank you very much, Julie. Well, good afternoon, good morning to everyone joining Coffee and Contract Express. This is what we're calling Global Episode 2. This particular project's grown a few arms and legs since first inception a few months ago. But this is Episode 2. For those who potentially missed Episode 1, there is a recording with the professional services member, Mr. Swick, who ran through APIs with us on the last session. But this particular one, we're very excited to run through the latest version of Contract Express, which is 8.7. And to give us the lowdown is our very, very special guest, Cassi Waddy, who is the product director for Contract Express. So delighted to have her along today as a guest speaker, so to speak, and help Julie and I just run the session today. So thanks for joining. If you do have questions that crop up, please pop them into the chat. Julie is kindly moderating and keeping an eye on things and doing the recording. And we'll also wrap up at the end of the session. But without further ado, I'll pass straight over to Cassi, and we'll go from there. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Bruce. Hi, everyone. So I'm delighted to be here to chat to you today about what's new in Contract Express 8.7. For those of you who are on our multi-tenant instances of Contract Express, you already have access to this. It released on the 15th of July rather, so just a couple of weeks ago. And for those of you on other hosting methods, you may or may not have it, but you can contact our support teams to get access to that and upgrade your environments at any point. So really what I wanted to do is just cover today just 4 key areas of Contract Express 8.7, some of the new areas. Obviously, a lot as we do with all of our releases, there are a lot of minor tweaks and other areas that will be of interest to certain of our users. But I really just wanted to cover the 4 that I think will be of key interest to this group today. So they are covering some improvements that we've made around template management, some improvements we've made to the author tool, some changes to the questionnaire, and finally the introduction of custom tab names. So I'm going to work through them in order. As Bruce said, if you have any questions along the way, just pop that into the chat. If I happen to notice it, I may answer it as we go. If not, we'll come back to that at the end to answer any questions that you have. So template management. So 4 areas within here I wanted to talk about. The first one, which our sort of internal professional services team have found very, very useful when they have been updating templates and testing them. As those of you who author are aware, quite often you will launch and relaunch a questionnaire to test it, to make a few tweaks, and it can be quite tedious to go from that test document back to the templates tab, find that template, get to the right template version and make those tweaks. So we've introduced a new link or area on this test document page here. It's only visible on test documents, and it will obviously only be visible to the authors and admins who have access to those test documents. But what we have here is a link that takes you directly back to that template, so you don't have to go and find it in your templates list in the various categories or however you would normally navigate to that. So it's just a single click to get back there. Another one that I think will be of interest to those of you who are particularly long-term customers and have many template versions. It has been something that's come up quite a few times in recent months. Queries around, it's really difficult that if you want to prevent users from using a particular version of the template from launching that questionnaire, you need to revert it back to test, but you can't revert it back to test until you've removed any of the live documents that are associated with it. So what we have done is introduced a new status of archive, so you can actually archive a template that, as I said, that will prevent the associated questionnaire from being launched. It replaces that old method of reverting back to test. And again, it solves that problem of the live documents. It doesn't matter if you have live documents in the system, archiving will still be possible. You can restore that if you want to restore the template version at a later date, but archive takes it sort of out of the list of different versions of the questionnaire that can be launched by your users on older documents that they're working on. So that's a really useful enhancement that has been asked for by quite a lot of our customers. The other point, or the other benefit, I guess, side benefit of that is that it actually will improve, for those of you with lots and lots of template versions, you should see some improved performance within Contract Express as well, because behind the scenes, every time you do something with a template, Contract Express kind of goes through and looks at all the versions, and it creates a little timeline of when different versions are active for, and so that what it effectively does is it ignores those archived versions, and it will just speed up all of those behind the scenes processes that are happening in the background. And to go alongside the archiving, we have introduced some new status names for the templates. So previously, where we called a template live, we have renamed that published, and likewise with test, that is now unpublished. So when you first upload a template that you're working on into the system, it will be uploaded in an unpublished state, and then obviously you publish it to the rest of your users at that point. The couple of reasons for this, we've been getting feedback around confusion around the related templates and the test and live links, and they had slightly different meanings to what test and live meant in terms of the template status. So we've just separated those terms just to make it more clear. And I think sort of published and unpublished are universally known terms. So I think that also is quite helpful. Obviously now we also have the archived status type as well, when you have archived either a single template version or an entire template with all of its versions. And you also are able to, the fourth one, which is not a status on there, is the permanent deletion of a template. So obviously once it's permanently deleted, there is no status because it's not in Contract Express any longer. And just to help with that, we have also added a new column to the templates grid. So there is a column there that now shows the latest version of a particular template. So you can see at a glance, what templates are currently being worked on, because the latest version status is unpublished. So if you have a list of 20, 50, 100, however many templates you have in your Contract Express instance, at a glance you can see what's being worked on, and you can filter by any of those statuses, and it's a multi-select as well, so you can effectively include or exclude a particular status at that point as well. So those are the key highlights around template management. I hope this, these enhancements will make a difference in terms of, the performance with the archiving of the template versions, and just making it easier for you to navigate and see what's happening with your templates and manage them within Contract Express. Moving on to the author tool enhancements, obviously very much related to that. We've made what have again proved to be quite popular changes for our internal services team, who've had an early play with this before it was released, and they were raving about some of these enhancements, so I hope you will too. But the first of them is some enhanced dictionary filtering. So you can now filter by variable type, which was always available, but it's now multi-select, so you can have multiple variable types that you filter by, also variable name. And we have a new double toggle option that will allow you to exclude certain variable types. So in this screenshot here, I am looking for computables that are any variable type, any variable that is not a computable. So we can see the cross in the computable. That is also a compulsory question. So we have all these additional attributes that you can search by. So I can just read out the list, but you can search whether it's a key question or not, whether it's from an external dictionary or whether it's internal to this particular template, whether it's used in the template or not used. And then the last two are a little bit different, and these came from some requests that we've had over the last few months as well. The ability to highlight, a particular section of text in the template, so several clauses, a single clause, whatever section it is that you're working on in that document, you can highlight that text and select the option within the selected text in that list, and that will filter that dictionary down to just the variables that impact that section of text that you have highlighted. So at a glance, you can really see and tweak that, and you can see if, you know, if we're talking about a computable being in there that is impacted by variables that you don't see in that template, you can still have them within your list. And then finally, the relevance of selected text option. So this is again highlighting or a section of span and being able to see all the variables that determine the relevancy of that span. So it's a little bit like the show relevance button that you have on the word ribbon, but this is filtering the dictionary for you in this instance. So that's the dictionary filtering. We've also introduced the ability to view and compare previous template versions to the version that you're currently working on. So from the word ribbon under the template properties drop down, we have added a new option called view versions. And when you click on that, it will call out to Contract Express and present a list of all the different versions that you have for that template in Contract Express that you've previously uploaded. From that, you can select a particular version and you can download it, or you can compare the wording of the open template that you're working on to the version that previous version that you're wanting to compare it to. And that will sort of give you a red line document where we're effectively using Word's track changes tools to do that. But that's a quick, easy way of just being able to open it directly from within Word rather than having to jump out separately into Contract Express. The other one that I think will be quite useful is the ability to compare the dictionary. And so you can see it will again do that same comparison, showing any changes using the track tool in Word, but what it will give you is effectively the questionnaire structure. It will show if any of the variable names have changed, if there's a new variable that's been added, if any of the guidance within that has changed as well. So it really gives you the ability to see how a dictionary has changed over time between versions of a particular template. And you can also use this just to get a straight download of the dictionary that you have as well. So if you've just opened a version, downloaded a version from Contract Express, and you open that and hit the compare dictionary and compare it to itself, that's a really quick way to get the output of the dictionary as well with that questionnaire structure. And then the final one is the ability to insert anchor tags for e-signature providers. So this is where you can insert a small piece of code into the template that tells Adobe Sign or DocuSign where the signature should be placed. And you can use this within repeated signatories as well. So just entering it once, it will automatically work out what signatures need to go at which point in the document, and it's really removing the need for each user to have to go in and manually kind of drag and drop the signature location into the various parts of the document for each signatory. And we've also produced some sample templates for you, so they are available on the knowledge base, and you can download them, and you can just copy and paste the text into your own templates. So we've tried to make it nice and easy for you, so you don't have to figure it out yourself. So that's the author tool enhancements, and thank you, Kim, for pointing out the typo on relevance in that. We'll get that one fixed. Right, so moving on, questionnaire refresh. Really what we've done with the questionnaire, it's more of a subtle update for this particular release. So for 8.7, we've done a refresh of the look and feel. So what we have on screen right now is probably what you're very used to. When we move to 8.7, as you can see, it's a much cleaner look and feel for the questionnaire. We haven't made any drastic changes around layout or anything like that. Really what we wanted to do was update the code that we use to build our questionnaire and it puts us in a really good position now to make more enhancements in the questionnaire in the future. So the language that we were using previously was a little bit dated. It did put some limitations on the improvements that we could make to the questionnaire. So by updating this and refreshing it, it kind of puts us in a position to be able to do a lot more with the questionnaire in future. Some of the key points, I guess you'll notice, are that we don't have the kind of heavy background highlighting on each of the questions. Now it's a little bit more subtle. The progress bar and the completeness of the various pages has just been reshuffled a little bit to put it on the right hand side in terms of the ticks. I think it's a nicer view for the eye to just kind of run down the page titles when they're left aligned there. And then we have also added just some previous and next navigations at the bottom right, because obviously that's a kind of a natural inclination as you're working your way down a page of questions, and everybody kind of looks to the bottom as their natural inclination. We've still retained it at the top for those of you who are used to having the previous and next at the top, but you now also have that option at the bottom right as well. And then finally, custom tab names. So what this is it gives you the ability to apply custom names to the matters, documents, and tabs tasks. So those tabs that are visible to your end users. So you can see here I've renamed them projects, sales agreements, and approvals in this instance. And so this is updated via themes, so you can have different themes with different custom tab names and apply them to individual sites. So if you're working, if you have client sites and you have clients who use Contract Express for a very particular use case, in this case sales agreements perhaps, then you can actually provide a very customized site for them, obviously with your own branding and the labels that are meaningful for them rather, on the page. And you can see that the names flow through into the buttons as well, and also the my sales agreements, all sales agreements, etc. Any kind of confirmation messages, error messages, etc. They will all use the new labels and names that you have applied to that site through themes. So that is a very quick whip through all of the enhancements, not all of the enhancements, the 4 key enhancements that are available now in Contract Express 8.7. Open the floor up to any questions that you might have or any clarification on anything.
Cassie, we do have one question. Do you plan for further enhancements to the author toolbar?
So I think when we look at author as a whole, I think there's a lot more we can do with author. To be quite frank, we've probably neglected it a little bit in recent years and focused on building out integrations. And I think I'd like to bring our focus very much into the authoring, because really, getting that right, helping you speed up the authoring of templates will really help you get that return on investment much quicker, and the adoption across the firm as well. So author is absolutely something that we intend to look at sort of over the next few releases as well. Keen to hear if there are any particular enhancements anybody on the call would like to see to author, and that can either be, you can either share that now or you can share that with us separately after the call. But always more than happy to hear about anything we can do to improve that authoring experience.
So we've got one more question that's come through. Is the download a zip feature still limited to 250 documents?
That's a good question, and that's something I probably should know the answer to off the top of my head. As far as I'm aware, we haven't changed the number, so the limit is probably still 250, but I can certainly double check that with you, and we can come back and confirm that.
Okay. When you archive a template, will the users be able to continue to work on their questionnaire in progress from that associated template?
So when you archive a template, you're effectively taking away the ability to launch the questionnaire that's associated with that template. So any user that has a document in progress that was based on that template, when they next attempt to launch the questionnaire, it will prompt them and say there's a new version of the template available, and that is what they will use. Really, archiving is for when you want to take a particular version out of circulation altogether. You don't want anybody to be able to use it anymore. If a user is in progress, they're actually working on a questionnaire right now, and you happen to archive it at the same time, that user should not be impacted because they've obviously already launched the questionnaire before you've archived the template.
Okay. Which previous versions of Contract Express is the new author tool compatible with?
So you will need to, well, actually, that's a good question. I think it's probably only, it should be backwards compatible, actually. I'd need to double check that. That's one for me to take offline and come back to you on, I think.
Okay, and we'll follow back with the group with the answer to that question. There are no other questions in chat. If anyone wants to unmute themselves and ask a question or provide any feedback on author tool enhancements that they'd like to see, feel free to do that. We'll give that another minute or two. All right. Well, thanks, Cassie. This was, I think, very helpful and useful for everyone to hear about the enhancements so they can start to use them with their own projects. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. We'll send out the invitation to the next Coffee and Contract Express in the next week or so. Look for that to be towards the end of August. We are still looking for Contract Express users who would like to be part of a panel or present a best practice as part of the Coffee and Contract Express episodes that we have. So feel free to reach out to me or to Bruce or to Joanne to say that you'd like to take part in that. And keep in mind as well that all of the Coffee and Contract Express episodes, both UK, US, and global, are archived within the knowledge base. So with that, we'll stop the recording and say thanks to everyone and wish you a good rest of your day.
Thanks for joining, everyone. Bye.